And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. Glad you could join us. Don't forget about my book, man. That's right. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to the Baddest Man on the Planet. It's out soon. Check it out. www.billycboxing.com. Go into the book club, and you'll see it right there. And hopefully by the end of the weekend, before the end of the weekend, I should say, we will have a buy it now button right there. So you won't have to go through any hassles. Or you could just go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It should be up there pretty damn quick. It's in final print right now. We got the copy. We checked it out. We approved it. And now it's in everybody else's hands. So we're really excited about that. Can't wait to get it and hold it up to you guys. So anyway, speaking of holding it up, I hold this guy up. My man Daxx joins us right now. What's up, brother?
That's all right. I'm a little tired today.
Me too.
I blame Joel Larkin hiding out in the chat room for that one.
Yeah, me too. I'm pretty dead today myself. But
well, I had mentioned to him, I want to get some plastic surgery, a couple pectoral implants. He's telling me he knows a couple doctors. We're driving around 15 different surgeons today. Not one had, a single date that I was available. Jorge Kawaji had every single date, booked up already. So, thanks for wasting my time all day, Joel. Appreciate that one.
Yeah,
if I was a politician, I'd got some plastic surgery myself.
Did you see that fight with that guy? I mean, talk about a joke. The guy you're referring to with the implanted pecs. I don't know if anybody really believes that this guy is the real deal or what. But I mean, he doesn't even know how to throw a punch. It's sad. It's sad.
They admitted that was a fixed fight. The first time somebody actually showed me a video of it, it kind of looked like, if you remember the last Rocky, what was that one called, Balboa? When they were doing the simulation between Rocky and Mason Dixon, how they were computer generated. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was a joke or a new video game out there, and then come to find out it was supposed to be real. I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, Mickey Rourke is sitting there somewhere going, man, don't go back to that plastic surgeon.
Yeah, no, it's and his face. First of all, if somebody hits the guy in his face, half his face might. It's not just the pecs that got the plastic surgery. His face looks like he did too. I think if somebody hits him hard enough. Half his face is going to end up in the third row, But
how would that work out, though? You hit the guy in the chest, silicone goes busting through the nipple, squirts in the eye, you can't continue. What happens? That
you lose.
Decisions go to the cards.
Yeah, you lose. That stuff squirts you in the eye, you can't see, you lose. It's a knockout by Peck. His right Peck.
On purpose, he injured himself, like the kid did a couple weeks ago overseas.
That's funny, but anyway. Your 3 favorite fights of the week, man. Let's start off. Which is the first one that you're going to break down and give us your predictions on?
We'll start off this one right here. I'm really interested in. It's going to be the interim WBA cruiserweight title bout between Baby Shumanov and BJ Flores.
Okay, to tell you the truth, I don't like BJ Flores as a fighter, but I like this fight. I think it's an even fight. Tell us what you think.
Well, Shumanov, I find him an interesting guy, Bill, as a fighter, to say the least. We're talking about a guy that was, a 2004 Olympian. His professional success was, questionable. 2007, he turns pro. By time, in his ninth pro fight year, he beats the 2 former world champions, Montel Griffith, Byron Mitchell, and he challenges for his first world title against Gabriel Campillo, and he loses a majority decision at home. In Vegas 6 months later, he wins by a split decision. So now you're wondering, is this guy, legit? Is he not legit? Afterwards, he goes on a great run. He beats Tommy Kovacs. He beats a couple more champions. And then, you come to find out later on, Shumanov, all this while he had issues making 175 pounds. In his earlier fights, actually, in his first couple of fights, he fought as a cruiserweight. When he lost to Bernard Hopkins in 2014, he didn't even make a decent showing of himself. It was kind of embarrassing. He felt bad for the guy, but he made no excuses. He realized that, the self-training for a couple fights before that wasn't working. Now he's with Ismail Salas, who trains Rigondeaux. He's a former trainer of Shumanov's opponent, lost to BJ Flores, lost to Danny Green. So you're wondering here, what are you going to see out of him with this training? The pros about him is, right now he's in a weight class he's very comfortable in. He's a strong fighter, and he delivers his punches with crisp power. His shots are not one-punch knockout type, but they're thudding, and he has a solid chin. He's a guy that when you watch him in there, you're saying to yourself, if someone would only refine him, make him a bit more fluent, you can see, a top-caliber fighter right here. I think Salas might be able to do that. According to him, Shumanov has made a lot of changes. Now that he's learned the fundamental Cuban boxing style, and he's a more mobile fighter, he's a great finisher, and, this is going to propose a lot of problems here for B.J. Flores or anybody else in the division. Because, again, Shumanov is a sturdy guy, and, he never stops going backwards. The cons on him is he's not defensive-minded, and he's not a quick thinker inside the ring. He gets easily, confused. If a guy moves around, they're switching up their styles. Shumanov doesn't know how to adapt quickly, despite the fact, he has an amateur pedigree. Against Flores, you would think in the past that he was the bigger guy, despite having troubles making weight. That bigger size allowed him to impose his will on a lot of these other fighters, especially these veterans. With Flores, he's not going to have that advantage because BJ's a big guy himself. But if he has a game plan that he sticks to and he's able to adjust, this could be, a new start for him. It can't, but, as of right now, we don't know what's going on with Shumanov, and that's the cons on him because there's that big question mark. Now, B.J. Flores, the guy I know you love across the ring, he has an 80-inch reach, which is a long reach for a cruiserweight. It's a long reach for any fighter, matter of fact. He's a big guy. He uses his feet well. He doesn't stay in the pocket too long. He has better than average head movement, and he utilizes his jab well. The cons on him is, because he's a big guy, he doesn't have any real power. You would think he does. Against Danny Green, who's a lot smaller than him, Danny Green was throwing the harder shots. And Danny Green is not exactly, a knockout artist, and he's never really been in there against an elite opponent himself and had any success. BJ allows guys to pressure him. He thinks that he has great footwork, and a lot of times his confidence is his biggest downfall, and it has been so far. His opponent level has been very, very soft. In fact, it's got to be one of the softest opponent levels of any guy in the sport right now fighting for a world title. He's happy with moving around. He's happy with 1-2 combinations. And, against a guy like Shumanov, I don't know if that's going to work. B.J. Flores right now is in there trying to be something he's not. And I think with Beibul Shumanov going with Ismail Salas, that's going to be the factor in this fight. I'm picking Beibul Shumanov officially. I don't think B.J. Flores is going to put up much more than 1 or 2 good rounds.
Interesting, Dax, because, B.J. Flores is a boxer. He is. And, he can box, and I think he's going to fight very, safely. I'll use that word. But I'm with you with Shumanov. Shumanov is an exciting fighter. He's limited, and you mentioned a really good point earlier about the self-training. I think that's hindered him. He's actually a lawyer, and he's a smart guy. I'm hoping that the weight is going to help him, and I'm hoping the inactivity and, like you said, the really, really weak schedule of B.J. Flores. I'm with you, and I'm shocked that you picked Shumanov because I know he's a big underdog, but I'm with you. So we're going to go down in flames together if he loses. So good pick. What's your next one?
The next one up here, we're going to have Jean Pascal in his return bout since getting knocked out by Kovalev against Uniseki Gonzalez. Pascal, his pros there is obviously the experience and level of competition, no question going into this. Pascal has faced some of the best, not only at super middleweight, but as light heavyweight. This guy's been nothing but quality. At one point in time, a lot of people had him ranked in the pound-for-pound list. Pascal's awkward style has always been a plus for him. Remember, that's what gave Bernard Hopkins so many problems. And he's durable. He's a good counterpuncher as well. Matter of fact, he's better than average. And he's a guy who's confident. The longer the fight goes on, the more confidence grows in him, and the better he becomes. But a bad part about him is he waits a little bit too long on his opponents. he waits a little bit too long for those counters. He tends to give away early rounds. In his last few fights, Pascal has seemed a little bit more of a thinker than a pressure fighter. When he took that break and he came back against Lucien Bute, it was more or less a Lucien Bute who didn't do anything that actually allowed Jean Pascal to look really well. After him, he fought a B-minus level fighter, and then he comes back with Kovalev, and in the Kovalev fight, he kind of seems shell-shocked. His confidence isn't what it used to be. He's always tended to fade late in fights. When I mention his power being better than average, when he does hurt an opponent, he never capitalizes on it. When he comes in, he thinks his opponent's rocked a little bit, he'll wait. He doesn't go for that finish right away. It's something that he should do. Why he doesn't do it, I don't know. He makes his job harder than he should. When he was stopped in his last fight, we don't know exactly how that's affected Pascal's mindset. He's never really been hurt, and of course he's never been stopped. When you're a guy who hasn't taken the sport serious for a while, which Jean Pascal hasn't for quite some time, you never know how it's going to affect him, especially when you're a guy who has a big ego, which Jean Pascal does. Across from him, Yuniseki Gonzalez, he's 16-0. He's a hard puncher. Like I stated, if Pascal feels that power, will he get kind of a flashback to what just happened to him? Gonzalez's pros are he's used to fighting bigger men. He's fought over 190 pounds before. He applies nonstop pressure, and he's always active on the inside. He lets his hands go continuously, and he's accurate with that inside attack. There's no time to look for openings to counter on Yuniseki because, as I stated before, that pressure's there. He has a high, tight defensive guard, and he doesn't give his opponent time to breathe 1 second at all. And, that's something that Jean Pascal isn't too familiar with because he likes to wait, step back, and figure guys out. The cons in this kid, he had a late start to the sport, didn't turn pro till he was 25. He lacked some of the fundamentals like a good stiff jab and some footwork from the outside. But because Pascal has slowed down, he takes a while to get started, and he's never really been quality on the inside. And because I'm not really sure how he's going to bounce back from that Kovalev knockout, I'm going to pick the upset here and go with Yuniseki Gonzalez officially.
Hey, something, you're funny because, I liked Gonzalez from day one in this fight. Jean Pascal, I think, has had better days, and I think they're a while ago. I think that this fight is very important to Jean Pascal. I know that they're talking about a possible rematch with Kovalev, but Gonzalez is a power puncher, and the fact that Jean Pascal, he doesn't have a great defense, and he fights in spurts. And I don't know if he's really into it. I don't know what to think, but I'm with you again. I'm going with Gonzalez. I had him on my radar as soon as this fight was announced, and I'm shocked that you've gone with these two fights because the same as me, because I thought I was the only one going with the dogs. So good deal.
It's funny that because Kovalev, when we spoke about that last conference that he had said something about that with Pascal. Either go to the police force, decide what you're going to do. Go be a cop because everybody's looking at him like he doesn't take the sport seriously. Just as you said. Another big thing is this kid Gonzalez. He came to this country to fight for money, to make a better life for his family, and he knows what's on the line right here, Bill, and that's the reason why I'm truly picking him, because sometimes when you're fighting for your family and you're fighting to make a better life for them, that can overcome a lot of things, even more skilled opponents, but this kid does have a lot of goods.
And the thing is that he's fought some tough guys. He's got the equalizer in punching power. He's got youth on his side. And Jean Pascal, like I said, he's not the most defensive fighter. He does like to exchange a little. So it's going to come down to power. And for some reason, I know Jean Pascal has been in there and has taken punches from heavy-handed fighters, but I don't know. I'm with you. I'm going on a limb. I'm taking Gonzalez as well. So your last fight is the Kovalev fight, right?
And the Kovalev is Muhammadi. Sergey Kovalev has really proven himself in this sport. He's finally made it past the one-dimensional power punch one-dimensional power puncher image that he had for a while. You know, he's strong, he has elite boxing ability, and he's still hungry, which a lot of guys, once, you know, they capture a few world titles, they gain that fame and some money, they lose that. Kovalev hasn't. And Kovalev is a guy who has a plan B. If one thing doesn't work, he has something to fall back on. Kovalev knows how to set the pace in the fight. He knows that you don't need to rush for a knockout. Not all big power punchers seem to understand that. Then again, Kovalev is just as much boxer as power puncher, and he's a thinker inside there. Whether or not that's on his own or John David Jackson has helped him out, I'm not really sure, but it's working for him. Kovalev doesn't feel the pressure to perform or look good. He's all business. Nothing gets to him inside there once that bell rings. He carries out that plan laid out before him, even when things aren't going his way. Remember, we've seen him a couple times hurt and rocked early in fights, and a few times we've seen him off balance. Kovalev doesn't seem bothered by that, and that's that's something that's a bonus on his side. The mental game is more important than the physical game, and Kovalev has seemed to master that. The cons on him is that he has been caught by body shots that hurt him early. He always seems to be in the danger zone if somebody's going downstairs. Kovalev is a little bit baffled by movement at times, and awkward style can confuse him. Against Pascal and even Cornelius White, you've seen him looking at them for a couple seconds as they would sit there and feint and move their hands up and down and try and give him different angles. It's as if, though, he's never really seen that before, maybe because he comes from over in Russia and, you know, he hasn't really had time, you know, to see enough guys over here with that fluent style. He's getting better at that. But his balance is another thing, Bill, that's off a lot. He's been a few times rocked back, not hurt, but rocked back, making it look like he is hurt. One of these days, he's going to get caught with a big punch. He may go down, and even if he's not hurt, that can cost him on the cards. Getting, you know, that's something right now that I think John David Jackson is working on, but we don't know. This guy over here across from him, Najib Mohammadi, is somebody who can capitalize on that. He's fast. He has great foot movement. He moves on his feet more like a junior middleweight than a light heavyweight. His fast hands make guys wonder where they're coming from. He throws punches and bunches. Those combinations he lets go before a guy realizes what's going on, he's out of the way. He avoids that return fire. His volume is a huge portion of his attack. While he throws, he does not allow his opponent any time to stand there and come in and bully him, because that's a weak point. Najim is not a strong fighter physically. He can be muffled around on the inside. That's why he uses volume and movement. His level of opposition is not world class in terms of wins. Every time he stepped up, he has lost. When he's faced calibers of competition above the B level. Nathan Cleverly beat him using roughhouse tactics, and he was able just to bully him on the inside. Dmitry Shukovsky was able to impose his will on him early, so was Theory Carl. Shukovsky and Carl stopped him early. I think it was the first and second rounds. So if Kovalev is able to catch Mohammadi early, he's going to be able to stop him quickly. If he shuts down his rhythm, that's all Kovalev has to do, and Mohammadi's not going to stand a chance. But if Mohammadi does get his rhythm going, I'm not sure if Kovalev's going to keep up. Final prediction on this one, though, I'm going to have to go with the champion, Sergey Kovalev. After he finds out Mohammadi's rhythm, a couple rounds or two, after he goes back, he may have to turn over to John David Jackson. John David Jackson may have to tell him to make a few adjustments, and that's going to win it for him. I think this is going to be a big win for him, and he's ready to take on Adonis Stevenson after this one. If he doesn't, you know what, then we're going to know exactly who the true champion of the division is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, as much as we want to give Mohammadi a chance, I think Kovalev has, you know, shifted into another gear. You know, this is a guy that I think is by far the best light heavyweight in the division, obviously on the planet. You know, and he's definitely more multi-dimensional than people think. He's the man. I agree. I'm going with him. You know, there's some other great job as usual, Dax. But I wanted to get your thoughts on some other fights because we actually have a couple of good ones going on, like Brian Valora against Omar Soto. I mean, Brian Valora has been a fighter that's kind of had an up and down career. He seems to be back on the right track. Omar Soto is a good opponent. I'm expecting fireworks in this fight. What do you think?
I have to agree that it is an exciting fight. I like Brian Valora, and I like Omar Soto as well. Brian Valori is the guy that always brings his all to a fight. Win or lose, he never leaves you wondering if he's giving his best effort. And we appreciate guys like that. And as you stated, he's back on the right track right now. Omar Soto, he is tough. He comes straight forward. He's a little bit one-dimensional, I think. I'm going to go with Brian Valori in this one. But, don't be surprised if there is a little bit of an upset there.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I think his career is on the line right now. I believe it or not, I think he's at that point. But there's a couple of other fights that I had my eye on. And one of them actually is the Derek Chisora fight. He's fighting Bikya Lobjanidze. And I know this guy Lobjanidze is a guy that they brought in just for Derek Chisora to get a win, but there's always something about Chisora, and I'm not saying he's a talented fighter, because I really don't think he is, but something is telling me that this fight's going to be better than people think. What do you think?
Derek Chisora. I don't know what do you say about the guy. He doesn't take the sport serious whatsoever. It seems like he's there more for the money than anything. His probably his biggest feat in the sport so far has been surviving Vitaly Klitschko, rather. I'm sorry. But other than that, Derek Chisora, he comes there, he doesn't seem to care about anything that's going on around him. He's just happy to kind of get these paydays. I think he's gotten a few more decisions than he should have. The TKOs have been against soft opponents, one guys that, come there, more or less for a paycheck overseas. I tend to agree with you. I think, maybe that Bikwa, could be somebody, to upset the apple cart over there, because you never know what version of Derek Chisora you're going to get. And on top of that, Bikwa is a big guy. I think, he's 6'4", almost 6'5", and he hits hard. Derek Chisora can be blown out early. So on this one right here, I think you might see the upset.
And then there's a fight that, might be flying under the radar. A couple of undefeated cruiserweights in Isaac Thomas and Jordan Schimmel. Did you get a chance to look at that one?
Which one? I'm sorry.
The Isaac Thomas and Jordan Schimmel fight. It's an undercard fight. And
that's on the undercard of the Shumenov fight, right?
Yeah, they are two undefeated fighters.
Yeah, they're on the undercard of the PBC. PBC, yes. I was looking at that one when I was doing my breakdowns and that, and it kind of interests me because of the fact that we have two undefeated cruiserweights here, and they both can punch. Now, whether or not they're able to succeed to that level, I'm not really sure, because they both had kind of soft opposition so far. They have had, been in there with some veteran fighters, but this is a very evenly matched fight. And of course, the even match fights are always, the most competitive and most exciting. They don't have to be A-caliber guys. Isaiah Thomas, is the better boxer, and he moves around a little bit more, and he doesn't have, as many knockouts. I think he has maybe 6 or 7 knockouts, but he has enough, to make his opponent keep honest, Schimmel stay honest over there. So I'm going to have to go with the boxer on this one, but I think, it's a fight that definitely, like you stated, is being overlooked. I wish these cruiserweights would get a lot more attention, because they're really picking up lately.
I agree. I love the cruiserweight division. And then there's Claudio Mauro against Rico Ramos. That's another good fight, at least on paper. Rico Ramos was a hot prospect. Forget that. He was a top contender. He kind of fizzled out a little bit, but he's dangerous. How do you like this one?
Rico Ramos, he's another guy. When you talk about somebody take the sport serious, I don't know if he takes the sport serious at all. He was a hot prospect for a while, but then he has this whole Rico Suave image. He's kind of like a smaller version of Adrian Broner. Moreno here, he just fought a couple. Mario here, his only loss was, to a guy that I spoke about last week, Cellular. And, this is a kid who can hit hard, and he's a decent boxer. All these guys that come out of the Dominican Republic are tough guys. They're just like, those Mexican fighters. When they come in there, they have that one mindset mentality of, it's either you or me. And I think in this fight, it's going to be Marrero instead of Rico Ramos, who's coming in there just to try and rejuvenate his career and hopefully bring himself back, to relevancy. And this is the wrong opponent for him overall, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, but yeah, there's
That's a
some good.
stacked division.
Yeah. There's some good. There's some definitely some good fights coming up this weekend. No doubt about that. But anyway, Dax, great job as usual, and hopefully we could talk a little more about the fights tomorrow. I'm gonna have the phone lines open, and who knows, we may do a 20-minute show or a 2-hour show, depending upon the callers we get, my man.
20-minute show, 2-hour show. You never know. That's what I like about the show right here. You never know what you're gonna get. It's always up in the air, and that's the best part of it. It's just like somebody's just continuously pitching you curveballs over there, and it's great to watch you on that camera and sit there and count how many times you're gonna roll your eyes, how many times you're gonna throw your hands up in the air, whether it's me, whether it's Alex or anybody. I think we should have a contest. How many times will Bill roll his eyes during the segment?
I didn't
The only
roll.
guy you don't do it to is Larry.
I didn't roll my eyes once today, and the only time I've ever thrown up my hands with you is when I hear beep, beep, beep when your chin hits your phone. I'm like, oh, what?
I hear about it on social media.
Yeah, see,
They
it's
talk about
it's
it
not me.
on YouTube. They leave comments about it. Did you see Bill's face when Dax hit the button?
Yeah,
he
I
wanted
mean,
to have an aneurysm.
It's not, I mean, and you would tell me, oh, it's something with the phone system. I go, no, it's not. It's on your phone, man. It's, but anyway.
Because I walk around when I talk. That's why. It's a bad habit. I've always had it.
Yeah, well, they got to change. You got to get a seatbelt for the chair, and seatbelt yourself in. But
Do they have the old crank ones where you put the one part up to your ear and you speak into the wall?
yeah, those are good. They're called a Progresso soup can. You should get that.
I know you still have the one
Yeah,
of those, right?
no, the old Progresso soup can system. No, we got rid of that.
No. I'm talking about, remember the old ones there where it was in the wall and you had the wire, you put it to your ear and you turned the crank and you spoke into it there? They used to be in like the old mom and pop kettle shows.
Yeah. With that, the old wooden boxes with the phone. Sure, that's what I call it.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
the thing that you put to your ear almost looked like a megaphone, but instead of talking out of it, you listen to it.
Haven't you seen my cell phone? It's that big. That's what I have. I have one of those.
With the size of your cell phone, I think at least one of your arms would be huge.
I know.
You should have a right arm like one of the Klitschko's, with as big as that phone is.
Hey,
I've been telling you for I don't know how long, Bill. You can get yourself a small, a flip phone. I offered to buy it for, and you're like, no, the bigger, the better reception. And I can never get you on your cell anyway. So you tell me who's right.
You never call me on my cell. You always send me an email. I've been trying you. I'm like, did you try my cell and all? But anyway, yeah.
That's because the company you got your service through went out of business in like '84.
No wonder why they told me I need to use smoke signals now to get a hold of people, man. No wonder. Now it makes sense. But and
They don't have cell telephone anymore.
You got to finally get out of that flip phone. The technology has changed. You know that, right?
I don't have a flip. My wife has a flip phone.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, that's right.
She not only does she have one of those, but she carries the phone around with her, and she keeps it on mute. And I tried to call you 40 times. It's like trying to call Bill on his cell phone. You didn't answer. Oh, well, I had the volume down. I just got the message now. Well, what good is carrying the cell phone around for if you're not going to answer it?
Listen.
Well, I was doing something.
Alex Papali has the toughest cell phone. He drove over it with his car, and the thing still worked. So, I mean, come on. I remember that. He drove over it with his car, and it still worked. So, listen.
The Sprint beep phones. Remember those? The little CB Sprint phones there? The first speaker ones?
Which ones?
The Sprint ones. Remember, you had the first little speaker. You could talk and it went beep beep, and you would click back and forth and talk to somebody. They were made out of like this cast iron steel.
Yeah. No. They had like a walkie-talkie built in. Yeah, I used them.
I fought off a mugger with one of those one time, man. They were durable. I wish they'd bring them back.
Riddick Bowe. Remember when they beat the hell out of poor Lou Duva? When remember the fight? Remember the Galata Riddick Bowe fight, and they were beating the hell out. Somebody's giant cell phone was hitting Lou Duva in the head. Remember?
Yeah, Rock Newman. I mean, poor Sandman. He was never able to parachute jump again after Rock Newman hit him with that thing.
Yeah. All right, my man. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. Take care.